it's very difficult to, put the mic on the hairs when you felt longest. So I was disturbing with that person, but I'm really excited, and it's very good to see all of you here. So let me start my talk with a simple question. Whatever you are learning today in your life, in your degrees, will that be enough for the next 10 years? Or if I ask a much harder question now, whatever you're learning in today's life, like in your degree and everything, will it be still useful for the next 30 years? I think that's very hard to answer the question. Ladies and gentlemen, I graduated more than 15 years ago as a bachelor student, and I did my other higher studies, and now I'm a full professor. I deal with a lot of students, researchers, mentor a lot of students, get advice from many different people as well. And I must say, the challenge is not the real challenge is not just about the exam or your job or even technology. The most important challenge is the relevance. Ladies and gentlemen, if you see on this slide, you can see a clear message, very clear, that technology is changing much faster than education. Universities are doing an excellent job in giving you the foundations. We have a lot of universities in Pakistan. We're doing excellent curriculum. We are updating that curriculum, but not at the pace as we have the technology that is growing. I have, privilege, and it's my honor to use the dial-up internet. You remember that? Maybe some of you have used that. I have the privilege and honor to use the floppy disk. Now you think that floppy disk has a save button on your Word file. But, that technologies were state-of-the-art technology at that time. I remember when I was, doing my master's in Italy, and we used Skype to do the communication with my home. And now Skype is nowhere. There's no floppy disk. Oh, you can find maybe some old, computers maybe. But now the technology is changing a lot and changing very fastly. I must say exponentially. Now we talk about the, cybersecurity, IoT, cloud computing, supercomputing. Dr. Tasadduq is maybe somewhere here is talking about the supercomputer, and I never thought that something like ChatGPT will come and make everything like very easy. By the way, my slides are also from the ChatGPT. So I just put some prompt and just ask ChatGPT to summarize the thing. But this generative AI, these chatbots, they are changing very fast, and that is the thing that we have to think over, that how our own pace or our relevance is linked with that technology. So this is very important, that you have to be adaptable, you have to be curious and make yourself adaptable with the technology. The point of today's survival is that you have to, next slide please, sorry. So survival is that you should be curious, you should be adaptable, you should be, think about the, how to learn the thing. This is very, very important. If you have the capability to learn how to, use the thing, how to use the technology, you will not be obsolete for the next many years. For example, if you are using a technology like, we use mobile phone a lot, and, and most of days I have seen many people, including myself, when we go to a YouTube channel and we just do the shorts, and we make it very, very good. We spend a lot of hours, but you can use the same technology for your own, business as well. There's a lot of data available. These days we talk about the data science, we talk about the data analysis, we talk about the machine learning. We were discussing about one of the project, here, and we talk about we need some data, Again, in the morning, I went to a lab here, supercomputer lab, and Dr. Tasadduq told me a lot of projects that require the data. For example, they are doing some identification of livestock. They are doing some identification of the rice, something. You have a lot of data. You do have to use the data. You have to make the solution. And again, self-learning is very, very important. In university life, since I was also a student many years ago, I have seen that if you do not have the capability to self-learn, you will become obsolete after some year. It's very, very important to do the self-learning. And this becoming more challenging this year of time. Why? Because we are too much dependent on the tools, especially a lot of people, including myself, is using the ChatGPT. But I'm not here to, saying that you don't use chat. Use the chat GPT, but just to ensure that you should not kill your creativity. It's very, very important. Now, even I have seen many, Education Commission also making some policies how we can incorporate this, these kind of tools in your education as well. But remember, never leave any tool. Try to learn every tool that you have in your life, either it is a chat GPT or any kind of other tool or renewable energy linked to cloud computing or anything. Then again, you have to use the technology very carefully. As I told you earlier, you can use the technology just for scrolling. You also use the technology for your own business as well. Create the business. This is very, very important. Your career will not be a straight line. You will change your job many times. You will change your task many times. Even you will do in the future, you will do work on some jobs that don't even exist now. Right? Even you have to change your area of interest as well. So therefore, it is very important that you focus on the curiosity, on adaptability, and make yourself such that you can adopt to any technology you like. So as a student, most of you are the student, and I also pass through this career. So I always advise the students that please to use each tool that you have in your life. Either start from WhatsApp, it goes to any automated tool. Do use them, not just say this tool, I will not use this. Please use every tool, because this is the way you can create the business. And these days we focus on one very important thing in Pakistan is to create the business. In the past time, most of us, my parents taught that in Nosherwan, let's do a job in a government organization, and everybody was very happy. My first job in Saparco, and of course it's a sarkari job, so I'm very, very happy. But after very few months, I have to change because I have to go to the highest stage. But things are changing now a lot. You don't have in your mind that you have to get a job. You should have to in your mind. You should creates the job, and job can only be created if you have the mind of entrepreneurship. I'm really happy to see many people in Pakistan now that they have their own companies. I was discussing Manzoor Saab, and I'm really happy to discuss Manzoor Saab. Manzoor Saab, he was also one of the speaker, and we started our discussion, and he told me, Nosherwan, I'm 10 years ahead of time. I said, sir, that's great, thank you so much. So he then told me that he have a lot of companies, he work in a lot of industry, and which is very good. This is what we want in our students, in our next generation, that you should create the passion for entrepreneurship, for learning, for creating the job. Don't just focus on finding a job. Remember, if you focus on these things, you will not be obsolete, not for many years or for so many years. And the last thing that of my talk is that please use the technology to build the future. We need a very bright future for Pakistan. We need a very bright student from you. And that the only thing you can do is to make yourself adaptable and up to date with all the latest technology we have. This is my LinkedIn page, and if you would like to connect to me, you can connect using this page. And thank you so much for your attention, and I hope to see you again in the future as well. Thank you.